Hey guys, and welcome to a new series. What if Mr. Satan wasn't a fraud? Now, for this series, what do I mean by that? Most people think Mr. Satan's the strongest man in the universe, but he's actually not, obviously. But today, that's gonna change, because this series will focus on what if Mr. Satan actually was the strongest in the universe. Now, let's get started. January 31, age 756. A baby was born, and this baby would grow up to be Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan wasn't like other humans, though. As Mr. Satan grew up, he always wanted to be a martial artist. He would watch these martial art battles, but the last world champion was Goku, and he had this special mirror and effects. He always hated that. He wanted to be a real martial artist, not like these magic tricks he always saw. So he began to train. He trained his whole life, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-kilometer run every single day. Mr. Satan pushed himself, and he got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger as time went on. One day, Mr. Satan would be in his dojo when he was fighting one of his students, but as he punched him, he broke the wall. He went flying throughout the room. Mr. Satan was surprised. Then he began to run as fast as he could, and he ran faster than any car, faster than anything he's ever seen. Mr. Satan just became strong. All of his training, it all finally paid off. All those days of non-stop training, all of those push-ups, all of those sit-ups, all of those times he pushed himself further and further. Mr. Satan finally did it. Mr. Satan finally became powerful. He felt like he was the strongest man alive. Meanwhile, we cut to Vegeta and Trunks, who walk out of the time chamber, and they can sense this key. This key is incredible, but it's sensed like it's human. That's impossible. A human can't be that strong, can it? But they decide to focus on Cell. As we cut to Cell in his semi-perfect form, things play out mostly normal, but Cell does realize that there's a massive key in the world that he just can't explain. It has to be some sort of trick or something. It just can't be real. Meanwhile, we cut back to Mr. Satan, who was getting used to his powers. Mr. Satan was stronger than anyone before. No matter who he sparred, no matter who he fought with, he always won. At first, it was great. He got to show off how powerful he was, how strong he was. At first, he was extremely cocky, but now Mr. Satan was just bored, and he was hoping that someone would actually give him a challenge. As he was walking through the city, sad that no one could challenge him, sad that he couldn't fight anyone, sad that no one even came onto his level, suddenly a broadcast would appear, and it was Cell. Cell would come up and announce the Cell games and say, if you lost, he would destroy the entire planet. Mr. Satan was shocked. This Cell fella, he could fly. The old him would have thought it was a trick, but he could feel. Something in his heart just felt that it was genuine. He knew that Cell was actually strong, and he knew that he was going to have to fight to take him down, that he was the only one who could stop Cell. Mr. Satan had 7 days to prepare. Mr. Satan would suddenly call a press conference. As everyone in the world came up and began to watch him, he went on TV and said this: "Now, I know you are scared, but there's someone who will protect you, someone who can defeat Cell, and someone who's going to save this planet, and that someone is me. And if I fail, I'll die protecting all of you, and that's a worthy death. But I promise you this, I will fight Cell with every inch of my body, and I will not lose. I will fight for Earth. I'll fight for all of you. I'll fight for every single family, every single child, every single father, everyone who lives on this planet. I will protect you," Mr. Satan says, as everyone begins to cheer. Mr. Satan is seen as the hero, and is seen as the person who will take on Cell. However, Mr. Satan needs to know how strong Cell was, and how did he do those key tricks. Even though Mr. Satan was extremely powerful, he still didn't understand ki. At least not yet. Mr. Satan began to run to the tournament. He ran so fast that dust clouds came below him. He ran so fast that part of the world shook as he suddenly appeared in front of Cell. Cell looked at him and said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I want to get a good look at you before the tournament. You look strong. Tell me how you did those blasts with your hand." "My blast?" Cell said. "Yeah. You're telling me you're this strong, but you don't understand ki. What's ki?" Cell would be a bit annoyed, And he thought about explaining to him so he can give him a good fight, but also deep down he was kind of scared because Mr. Satan had a key he never felt before. So he decided to say this: "Listen, I'm not going to tell you anything. However, if you defeat me, there will be people who will explain it to you. People similar to me who can do the same tricks. But they're, let's just say, you would say good." Cell would say, smirking. "Mr. Satan, is that so? Fine then." Mr. Satan then ran off. He ran so fast, the entire world shook. And Cell saw this as he took a gulp. Cell was excited to fight Mr. Satan, but at the same time he was scared. How could a human be this strong? This just can't be real, can it? Cell would brush that aside and wait. And 7 days would eventually pass as Mr. Satan was prepared to fight Cell. As the day finally arrived, Mr. Satan would walk onto the ring when suddenly other people would come down and begin to fly. As they all flew down, Mr. Satan was shocked. They could fly just like the others. Goku and the rest looked at Mr. Satan. They could feel a deep ki within him, but they didn't know how strong he was. And since he was shocked that they could even fly, Vegeta was annoyed, thinking he would just be defeated easily. Since he didn't know techniques, Mr. Satan then got out of fighting stance as Cell did the same. As the Cell games begun, Cell just smirked and said, "Hit me." As Mr. Satan said, "Dynamite punch!" Cell wasn't even gonna block it, but then he felt something from him. He felt that pure energy, that pure power. He lifted up his hand quickly, blocking it, but as soon as he blocked it, his arm was ripped off, destroyed instantly as Cell fell down, but he got back up and regenerated his arm. How could a human be this strong? That has to be some sort of trick. How? Mr. Satan said, "Through training, of course." Cell and Mr. Satan then would begin the battle, as Goku was amazed. "I didn't know a human could be this powerful." Vegeta would say, "A Saiyan will be the one to wipe out Cell. Just you wait." Mr. Satan and Cell then began to push each other further and further. Cell flew up from above and began to shoot ki blasts down right at Mr. Satan, but each time they hit, each time they made contact, it did nothing. Mr. Satan would just look up and jump into the sky, and he would punch Cell right in the face with a dynamite punch. This dynamite punch would destroy his face and upper body. As he fell to the ground, Cell landed. As everyone looked and the audience began to cheer, thinking Cell was dead. But then he got back up and regenerated. Ugh! Cell looked at Mr. Satan angrily, as then he went into his buff form. "I will not let you defeat me!" As Cell charged. Since Mr. Satan couldn't fly, Cell assumed maybe he can give up some speed to get to him. But even in this buff form, he was no match. He punched Mr. Satan straight in the face, sending him through a mountain, but then he jumped back, kicking Cell, launching him off the ring. "Well, you're off the ring now, but so was I. Can we get rid of that rule?" Cell would say, "Yeah. Let's push each other with everything we got." Cell would then charge at Mr. Satan, again and again and again, but Mr. Satan easily dodged every attack, but then he hit him with a dynamite kick straight to the chest, as Cell would barf up Android 18. Cell would begin to get angry. "No, no, 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 no! This can't be happening!" As he turned to his imperfect form, he looked straight at Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan said, "Whatever that was gross. Well, it's over, Cell." But suddenly, Cell got bigger and bigger and fatter. As Mr. Satan walked back, Cell began to laugh. "I'll blow you and everyone else on this entire planet to pieces." Everyone watching at home was shocked. Mr. Satan would then frown, thinking he failed everyone, but suddenly Goku grabbed him and teleported away as he blew up. Everyone was shocked. Mr. Satan would say what happened. Gohan would say, "My dad sacrificed himself." He would begin to cry. "That was your dad? I'm sorry I didn't finish him off." Krillin would say, "It's not your fault. You did great. I didn't know a human could get that strong." Suddenly, though, Cell would reappear, as suddenly a ki blast would fire through, killing Trunks. Vegeta would get angry as he flew right towards Cell, but Cell would knock him down to the ground. As Cell began to laugh, "Don't you see what I am? I am perfect. Not only that, but super perfect. You see, my membrane survived, and when I healed, I got a Zenkai boost." Mr. Satan goes, "Blah, blah, blah. Basically, you're stronger than before. That's all I need to know." You could have just skipped to that part. Cell said, "Shut up! Ever since you got here, you humiliated me. This is supposed to be between me and Goku, not you. I don't even know who you are. You're just some dumb human who randomly showed up, and now you're super powerful? That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna kill you with a perfect Kamehameha!" Cell launched a perfect Kamehameha right at Mr. Satan. As he grabbed it with his arm, it began to push Satan back more and more. As it was about to destroy the world, the Z-Fighter's about to jump in, but Mr. Satan said, "No, don't jump in. This is my fight. Got it?" As they all didn't jump in. But Gohan would say, "Are you crazy? You need our help." "No, I don't," Mr. Satan would yell, as suddenly he would kick the Kamehameha. "Dynamite kick!" This kick was so intense it broke his leg as it hit the Kamehameha, burning it to a crisp. But it was launched straight back into Cell's face. As his own attack hit him, he was erased. Mr. Satan fell down with a broken leg, victorious, as everyone in the stands watched. As everyone on Earth watched Mr. Satan win, they began to cheer, "Satan! Satan! Satan!" as Mr. Satan saved the day once and for all. Gohan would go and pick him up and say, "You're really strong. Too bad you didn't save my dad." Mr. Satan would say, "I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. And do you really not know how to use Ki Blast?" Mr. Satan would nod his head no. "Don't worry, I'll teach you." Mr. Satan did it. He saved the day. It's been years since the Cell games. Gohan taught Mr. Satan how to fly, but every time he tried that Ki stuff, it just seemed like parlor tricks to him. He knew it was real, but he could just feel that there was more power in his fist, and he felt that a real fighter should focus on his physical form and push himself that way. Mr. Satan was legendary. Everyone knew that he saved the world from Cell, and he became famous. An entire city was named after him, Mr. Satan's City. And Mr. Satan would know way more about Gohan since Gohan taught him how to fly. Mr. Satan really wasn't into Ki Blast, but who wouldn't want to fly? Flying is probably like the best thing you could ever do, so Mr. Satan had to pick that up as much as he was annoyed by it. However, as years passed, there was going to be a new World Martial Arts tournament, and Mr. Satan was excited and ready to go. As he trained tirelessly, getting stronger and stronger, so did Vegeta. So did Goku, so did everyone, but Vegeta had someone in mind. An Earthling proved to be stronger than him. He'll wipe the floor with that Earthling, and he'll bring back his Saiyan pride. As everyone went up, the tournament began. Things would continue like normal until Mr. Satan fought Android 18. As 18 looked up at him, she began to smile. "So you're that human guy who's very strong, defeated Cell, even got me out of his stomach. I've heard a lot about you, but I've never actually fought you." "So you're the android. Well, let's get this started." Android 18 would charge at Mr. Satan, but Mr. Satan would move so fast she couldn't even see him. And suddenly, she appeared on the floor as she was kicked off the ring. "Dynamite kick!" As she fell down, Mr. Satan said, "Are you okay, lady?" She just got up and scoffed. "How could you be so strong? 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and I drank plenty of juice." He laughed, but then suddenly, Mr. Satan would fall to the ground. As he fell down to the ground, he was paralyzed. Babidi began to laugh. You see, Babidi put drugs in Mr. Satan's drink. He put drugs in his juice, so he would get paralyzed after the battle, so then he could steal his energy. Mr. Satan was far too powerful for them to just take it all by themselves. But with this happening, they can finally do it. Everyone watched on confused, as suddenly men grabbed Mr. Satan and shoved a needle in him. And he yelled, "They drugged me! They drugged me!" And everyone was shocked as they then began to run away. Shin and Kabibo appeared and healed Mr. Satan. As they all flew, they began to explain everything. Mr. Satan was angry. "I can't believe those little buggers drugged me. No honor in that. I'll show them what for." As they all flew down. Suddenly, Deborah came up as he spit on Krillin. He tried to spit on Mr. Satan, along with Piccolo, but Mr. Satan easily dodged it and hit him with a dynamite punch, sending him down to the floor. Deborah tried to run away, but he grabbed him and pulled him back. "You guys go on. I'll fight this one," Mr. Satan said. Deborah said, "That'll be the last thing you do." As the rest of the Z-Fighters went in, Mr. Satan fought Deborah, and Deborah began to push him with all he had. But it wasn't enough. As Adora fought Mr. Satan, Mr. Satan was simply too fast, too strong, too powerful. He began to beat up Deborah and ask, "Why did you take my energy? What are you doing?" Deborah fell down to the floor, bones broken. Deborah simply just looked up at Mr. Satan. How are you this strong?" Mr. Satan began to laugh. "Is that all the power you got? Then taking you freaks out will be easy. Let me guess, you took some of my energy so you could absorb it yourself somehow and get stronger. Makes sense. But that's still not all of it. Even with that, I should be able to beat you." But then Deborah laughed and said, "No, we're not using it for ourselves. We're using the energy to awaken something even more powerful than you are." Mr. Satan said, "Really? What is that?" He said, intrigued. Deborah said, "Majin Buu." He laughed before he passed out from blood loss. Mr. Satan was about to walk in, but then suddenly Vegeta appeared with an M on his forehead and punched Mr. Satan. "You humiliated the Saiyan race for too long, Satan! You're even more annoying than Kakarot!" Mr. Satan looked up and said, "Great, now I gotta deal with this." Vegeta flew down. Goku said, "Stop this! Stay out of the way! This is between me and him. I could deal with a low-class Saiyan getting in my way and becoming stronger, but a human? You're not even a part of the Saiyan race!" Vegeta said, angry, as he got ready to fight Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan would say, "What is this about?" Vegeta would say, "My entire life, I was the prince of all Saiyans, but then I was overcome by a lower-class warrior, and now a human, someone like you, who didn't even know how he existed when he was stronger than me. That doesn't even make any sense. You shouldn't be alive. Someone like you shouldn't even exist. And I'm gonna fix it," Vegeta said, charging at Mr. Satan and punching him straight in the face. But it did nothing. Mr. Satan looked at him and said, "Listen, I don't want to fight you, Vegeta. I know you're going through a lot, and you're jealous of me, and I'm pretty great, so it makes sense, but..." Vegeta says, "Shut up! Big Bang Attack!" He hit Mr. Satan with a Big Bang Attack, but it did nothing. Vegeta kept beating up on Mr. Satan, but he wouldn't fight him back. Mr. Satan said, "I'm not going to fight you, Vegeta. I'm not going to give you what you want. You're like a kid throwing a tantrum. You have a family, a wife, a child. You can fly. You can blow stuff up with your hands. Do you know how lucky you are? And what, you're throwing a tizzy fit all because I'm stronger than you?" Vegeta says, "It's not just about you being stronger than me. It's about my pride. I am a prideful warrior, and someone like you comes out of nowhere and surpasses me? Take me seriously!" Mr. Satan simply took a deep sigh as he looked at Vegeta. "You really want to do this?" Vegeta says, "Yes. I want you to hit me with everything you got. I want us to battle with everything. I let Babidi control me so I can get stronger, so I can become more powerful, so I can..." Mr. Satan just goes, "Blah, blah, blah. Just fight me already and stop talking. Never understood why you guys always talk before you fight." Vegeta looks at him, pissed off. "I talk about my pride. I talk about my honor. And you dare say that to me?" He began to charge a Big Bang Attack. As he was charging it more and more and more, Mr. Satan simply looked up at him and said, "You can shoot this attack any day now, you know." Vegeta said, "Shut up!" as Vegeta launched a massive Big Bang Attack. Satan would suddenly use a dynamite kick and kick the Big Bang right into Vegeta's face, causing him to fall down, not even able to move. As Mr. Satan walks over him, he says, "You know what, Vegeta? I'm tired of you. I was trying to play it cool, but I can't do it anymore. You're nothing but a chump compared to the champ. And that's all you'll ever be. And you know why, Vegeta? It's not because you're weaker than me. It's because of your attitude. You're stuck up. And you're throwing a fit, a tantrum, like a damn toddler. Wake up, Vegeta. You need to learn to be a man and not do this. You think your pride is what keeps you together? You have a family. That's more important than your pride. And if you can't understand that, then you're nothing but trash." Vegeta looks up at him and says, "Damn you," as he passes out. Mr. Satan starts to walk towards the spaceship, but then suddenly he feels a huge key spike as Majin Buu comes out with Babidi. Majin Buu looks at him and goes, "You look delicious as candy," as he shoots a candy beam, but Mr. Satan just dodges it and says, "So this is Majin Buu, a fat pink guy, huh?" You think that can compare to the champ? He said, as he began to charge at Majin Buu. As Majin Buu charged at him, the candy beam couldn't hit Mr. Satan, no matter how many times Majin Buu fired. He fired it again and 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 again. But no matter how many times he fired it, it just never really hit him because he was just dodging it. Buu got so mad he charged at Mr. Satan and punched him square in the face, but it did nothing. As Mr. Satan did, dynamite punch, knocking off his head, but then it regrew. Mr. Satan suddenly stopped and said, Buu, do you want to do this? I can feel that you're not really evil. Majin Buu looked at him and goes, what do you mean? Babidi said, kill him now, stop this. And then Majin Buu tried to kill Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan said, why do you listen to Babidi? Because Babidi tells me to. You know, you don't have to listen to him, right? Babidi would say, don't listen to him, kill him now. But then Majin Buu would look at Babidi and then just punch him, killing him, and said, wow, I guess you're right. Now I can turn everyone into candy. Mr. Satan said, you can do that, or you can come with me and have fun. You know? Majin Buu looked at him and said, you are fun to fight with. Okay, Majin Buu said, as he went off with Mr. Satan. As Mr. Satan saved the day, he also made a new friend. Cut to Beerus, who would be having dreams. Not dreams of a Super Saiyan god. No. Dreams of something stronger. Dreams of something greater. Dreams of Mr. Satan. But Mr. Satan had yellow hair. He saw this weird human, a human he did not recognize, a human with yellow hair who would battle him and push him further and further. He watched in amazement. A human couldn't be this strong. A human shouldn't be this strong. But here he was. And his name was Mr. But before he could say his name, Beerus would wake up and look around. As he got into the bath and would just relax there, thinking hard. As Whis came up to him, he said, what is it, Lord Beerus? It seems like you have your mind on something. Beerus would say, I do. A superhuman. That's all I can describe it. There was this human in my dream. Yes, I remember now. The human with yawned hair. He will be my challenger. He'll be my rival. Whis then begins to laugh hysterically. A human? Lord, sure, humans used to know all about ki, but now only a few know about ki. And most of them don't even know how to use it properly. And the ones who do know about it, I wouldn't call them weak, but they're certainly no match for you. That's ludicrous, Whis would say to Beerus, as Beerus would simply sigh and say, I know what I saw. There's a human who can challenge me, who can push me even further. Look into this yellow hair thing. His hair just turned yellow. We should look into it, and goes, well, there's no humans who can do it, but there is a Saiyan that could turn Super Saiyan. Really? Huh. I guess I should investigate them first. Are you sure it wasn't a Saiyan? No, it was a human. I know it was. Very well, Lord, Whis would say, smiling. As in, he would go investigate by going to King Kai's planet for Goku. Beerus and Whis would arrive, and things would continue as in canon. However, Goku mentioned someone, a human that could probably challenge Beerus. Beerus would be intrigued. His name was Mr. Satan. He was the strongest man in the universe. He defeated Majin Buu and Cell. Beerus was impressed with anyone who could defeat Majin Buu, so he decided to head straight to Earth. As Beerus landed, the party was going on. He looked around at everyone. Vegeta saw him and began to shake. As Beerus walked up to him, he said, what are you here for? Beerus says, where's Mr. Satan? Mr. Satan would walk up and say, I'm Mr. Satan. Beerus would look at Mr. Satan and simply sigh. So this is the great warrior. But then Mr. Satan would show off some ki, and this would amaze Beerus. You don't even have divine power, and this is your power? Now that's fascinating. Now, it's not the level of my dream, but it's definitely stronger than I expected. I think we should spar, just you and me. Mr. Satan would say, yeah. Vegeta would go, I know you're strong, Mr. Satan, but he's a god of destruction. You don't need to. Beerus would say, shut up, Vegeta. It's between me and Satan. Besides, I promise I won't break him. Suddenly, Mr. Satan would hit him with a dynamite punch as Beerus flew off the ship. Then he flew up and punched Mr. Satan into the sky. As they both began the battle, Mr. Satan said, you know, usually I don't like to fly, but for chumps like you, I'll put on the showmanship. Beerus laughed, saying, you really think you can defeat me? Then let's see. Beerus and Mr. Satan went at it with everything they had, but Mr. Satan was winning. Mr. Satan said, "Looks like not even God can beat me. Oh well, I wish I got a challenge." But then Beerus began to smirk, and he said, "I have another form. A form that increases my power quite a bit. And it's called my Lord Beerus form." He turns into his Beerus form. You know why it's called this? Mr. Satan would say, "No, obviously not. Now can you tell me?" Beerus would say, "You're no fun. It's called my Beerus form because when I was in this form, I killed a man named Beerus. I made it just to kill him." Mr. Satan goes, "That's kind of dark." "Well, I am a destroyer. Wiping out entire generations is pretty dark. Anyway, you're no match for me in this form." Beerus charged at Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan was no longer fighting Lord Beerus. Lord Beerus was no match for Mr. Satan. He was a weak puppy compared to him, but this Beerus transformation, this Beerus form, it put Mr. Satan in his place, and no matter how hard he pushed himself, he felt like he couldn't win. Punch after punch, kick after kick. Eventually, Lord Beerus defeated Mr. Satan as he fell onto the ship. Beerus went down, and then he transformed back. Not bad. I haven't been pushed in that form for thousands of years. However, I'm sorry, Mr. Satan, but you weren't enough. You were stronger than any human, and any Saiyan, and anyone else in the universe, except for me. Without me, you'd be the very strongest. But that wasn't enough to defeat me. Not in my Lord Beerus form. Mr. Satan got up and said I could easily take Lord Beerus, but not Lord Beerus. I lost. And the first time in forever, I actually lost. Mr. Satan felt a mixed bag of emotions. On one hand, he was prideful. Proud, he actually fought a god of destruction, and he could live. But on the other hand, he lost for the first time in his life. He felt tears drip down his eyes as he just sat there. Beerus would look at him and sigh. "Well, looks like you're not the man I was looking for." I'm never gonna find him." Beerus would then eat. But as Mr. Satan was there sad, suddenly Goku would appear with an idea. Goku then would say, "Why don't we ask the Dragon Balls about this superhuman? Maybe we can find one." They all agreed. As they summoned the dragon, Shenron then appeared and they asked. Shenron said long ago there was a superhuman with unlimited potential. However, a lot of that potential was locked away. It was able to be unleashed when he got his potential unlocked. And his hair turned yellow, and he used his powers for good. Eventually, the superhuman would die, and humanity would forget about him and forget how to use Ki, until much later when a few others would learn it again. They were all intrigued. As Beerus says that wasn't helpful, Goku says, "Is there any human we can unlock the potential of?" "Yes, Mr. Satan. With his potential unlocked, he can push into his superhuman form." As they all nodded. "Dragon, unlock Mr. Satan's potential." Shenron would say, "That is beyond my power." And everyone would look extremely annoyed. But Dende would be able to upgrade Shenron. So after Shenron was fully upgraded, Mr. Satan was excited. So was Lord Beerus. As Beerus looked at Mr. Satan and said, "You think you could handle my Beerus form?" Mr. Satan said, Beerus, whatever you call on yourself, I'll easily be able to defeat you when my form is awoken." "Alright, do it." As then they unlocked Mr. Satan's potential, suddenly his hair would turn yellow as he would transform into a superhuman. Beyond the limits of a Super Saiyan, beyond the limits of anything everyone ever seen. As he transformed, the entire planet shook, and he looked at Lord Beerus and said, "You know, it's not too late to back down." Beerus would say, "I'm never gonna back down," as he went into his Beerus form and punched Mr. Satan, but Mr. Satan punched him, as they both began to battle, go further and further up into the sky. As everyone watched them fighting, and it was incredible. They could feel the shockwaves, even from down there, as after hit after hit, after punch after punch, the shockwaves shook the planet, and shook the entire universe. Lord Beerus would say, "That's impressive. You know, Mr. Satan, you're unlike anyone I've ever met before. Any human, any Saiyan, but in the universe is like you. Tell me, Mr. Satan, how did you get this powerful?" Mr. Satan would look at him and say, "Simple. I did push-ups, pull-ups, and runs every single day, and I pushed myself by running. I pushed myself by punching, and I pushed myself by working out." Beerus then begins to laugh. and say, "You're hilarious, Mr. Satan, but seriously, how did you get this strong?" He said, "I told you. You got this powerful just from working out." Huh. But even with that workout, you weren't strong enough to beat me. You had to get your potential unlocked. Mr. Satan said, "Yeah. And it sucks." "What do you mean? Aren't you proud to be this strong now?" "Don't get me wrong, I am. But I had to get it unlocked. I couldn't reach the level on my own." Sounds like you're very prideful." "Yes, I am. Because I am the world champ. And after this, I'll be the champion of the entire universe. Dynamite kick." He kicked Lord Beerus straight in the face as he was sent flying. But then he got up in his Beavis form and bit Mr. Satan in the arm as he then began to bleed. As they both were battling each other, suddenly Lord Beerus started to summon a massive Hakai and say, "Oh yeah? Well, if this hits the planet, it'll erase it. And if it's erased, there'll be no souls. Let's see if you can deflect this." And he threw it right at the planet. Mr. Satan flew right behind it and yelled, "Dynamite punch!" He punched the Akai straight into space as his hand began to hurt. "You think that's real power? Let me show you real power. All those ki is nice, but those ki blasts and those Hakais are just fancy tricks. Real power comes from your fist and from your feet. Ah!" But right as he's about to punch Lord Beavis, and Lord Beavis was about to punch him, suddenly Whis would appear and say, "That's enough. If you keep battling, you'll destroy the 7th and 6th universe." Beavis said, "Really? 7th and 6th? Wow. Now that's something. Alright, fine." He turned back to his Lord Beerus form, and they both flew down and agreed that they had a good fight. After they shook hands, Mr. Satan fought the first person he ever tied with in his entire life. The battle was hard fought, but Mr. Satan saved the world again. He is our hero. We cut to the Frieza Force. You see, the Frieza Force, ever since Frieza died, they've been dwindling in numbers, so they would bring back Lord Frieza. But when he was brought back and they told him about the Saiyans, they also warned him about Mr. Satan. Frieza would be intrigued, and he would be shocked to hear about a warrior that isn't even a Saiyan, that was powerful enough to take on Lord Beerus, and even in his Lord Beavis form. Everyone was shocked, and Frieza knew he had to train. He had to train more than he ever trained before. 3 months should do it, but maybe he would have to do it even more since it is Mr. Satan. But Frieza began training. As Frieza trained, the Saiyans were training on Beerus' planet. Now, Beerus could have let Mr. Satan train there, but if he let Mr. Satan train there, he could have become so strong he could overthrow all the angels. He was such a big threat. Beerus wasn't allowed to let Mr. Satan train there. As this was going on, we cut to Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan was drinking a cold glass of nice heat tap, as suddenly Majin Buu would run up next to him, and he would want to train. Majin Buu wanted to get stronger. Ever since he saw Beerus, he realized that he needed to get stronger. He had fun fighting Mr. Satan and playing with him. It was time to train for real. Mr. Satan agreed, and he began to train Majin Buu. Majin Buu trained like he never did before, and he even got fit, training and pushing himself further and further. As Majin Buu trained and got fit, eventually, however, Frieza would arrive. As Frieza arrived, Mr. Satan and Majin Buu looked up, as they both sent a massive ki. Now, Frieza and Majin Buu have never met, just like Mr. Satan and Frieza, but he could tell that it was evil, so he flew over with Majin Buu, as the rest of the Z-Fighters flew over too. Mr. Satan would ask, "Who is this guy?" and Piccolo would tell him about Frieza. Mr. Satan would be excited. He gets to fight an alien from space. True, he did fight Majin Buu and fought a little god of destruction, but this guy's an evil dictator, so he really doesn't need to hold back, so he can just, go all in and destroy Frieza. As the spaceship landed, Mr. Satan and the others arrived. As all the Frieza soldiers came out, they were all ready to battle. As Mr. Satan was ready to fight, all the Frieza soldiers charged at all the Z-Fighters, but Frieza said, "Leave Mr. Satan to me." Mr. Satan and Frieza both charged at each other as Frieza turned gold and began to fight Mr. Satan with everything he had, and Mr. Satan battled him. But Mr. Satan didn't even need to go into his awoken form. He was just so much more powerful than Frieza. Frieza used a death beam, a death ball, but no matter what he did, it wouldn't work. Frieza would yell, "How are you this strong? I've trained, I pushed myself beyond anything, and you're stronger than me? How?" Mr. Satan says, "Simple, because I'm the champ. Dynamite punch!" as he punched him straight down to the ground. But as Mr. Satan went down to the ground, he saw words. It said change now. As he read them out loud, a frog took his body. As Captain Ginyu said, yes, now I have the body of the most powerful person in the universe. As Mr. Satan is horrified as he's in a frog body, Frieza flies over and says, you're acting differently. It's me, Lord Frieza. Captain Ginyu? Yes, you took over his body. Now that's quite impressive. But then Captain Ginyu punched Frieza in his body. As his Frieza was sent flying, he got back up and said, what the hell is that for? Captain Ginyu just laughs and says, I'm done taking orders from you, Frieza. Now it's going to be the Ginyu Force, and the Ginyu will rule the universe. That's right. It's no longer the Frieza saga. It's the Ginyu saga. As Captain Ginyu flew over and began to beat up Frieza, even with a fraction of Mr. Satan's power, he was still far stronger than Frieza. He was easily overpowering him. But all of this power being unleashed was enough for Vegeta and Goku to sense it and teleport in with instant transmission. As Vegeta and Goku teleport there, they both look and see Captain Ginyu in Mr. Satan's body as he does a pose. Goku says, that's odd, why is he doing that pose? Wait a second, I know that pose, it's Ginyu's pose! As they are both shocked, he begins to laugh. That's right, I'm here to destroy this planet and all of you! Ginyu laughs gleefully, ready to destroy them both. As Mr. Satan in the Toad's body is running around, not sure what to do. For the first time in his life, Mr. Satan feels helpless. Goku and Vegeta both turn blue as they charge in and punch Ginyu Satan. Golden Frieza looks at him and says, what are you monkeys doing? Goku says, as much as we hate it, we're gonna have to work with you, Frieza. Vegeta says, don't worry, after this is over, I'll kill you. And make up for this teamwork. As all three of them charged at Ginyu Satan, Golden Frieza did an Emperor's Death Beam as he shot every Death Beam that he could straight at Captain Ginyu. As then Vegeta did a Big Bang attack, Goku did a Kamehameha as all the energy beams hit Captain Ginyu straight in the face. But it did nothing. He just continued to laugh gleefully, and he was easily able to learn to fight all of them easily, and he easily learned Mr. Satan's techniques because all they are is kicks and punches. Sure, he uses the mighty dynamite kick and the might punch, but he was able to learn it. And as he fought in Mr. Satan's body, he got stronger and stronger as he was learning more how to use it. Vegeta was getting beat up, so was Frieza, so was Goku. Frieza fell to the ground as he lost his golden form, yelling, damn it, we lost! How could we lose? How could I lose? I am Lord Frieza! He was about to destroy the planet, but then Lord Beerus showed up behind him. Were you about to do something, Frieza? Frieza looked up and said, Lord Beerus! Beerus began to look down on Frieza and said, yes, it's me. And do you know why I'm here, Frieza? Frieza would say, no. Simple. I'm here to make sure that Mr. Satan's body doesn't go to waste. This Captain Ginyu is truly an amazing warrior, but he's nothing compared to Mr. Satan, and he can't use his full power, and he'll mess with my good fight. Vegeta and Goku both came down, panting heavily, not able to do anything. They said, so you're gonna help us? Captain Ginyu walked back. He recognized Lord Beerus. He saw him a couple times when Frieza talked to him. He knew not to mess with him. You're gonna fight me? Beerus said yes, but I want to see if you're worth my while. Suddenly, the Supreme Kai would throw Vegeta and Goku Batar earrings. Beerus would say now, as then they would both put on the earrings. As they suddenly fused into Vegito, Vegito looked at him and began to laugh. This is our full power. Can you believe it? The power of our new body? Vegito flew straight at Captain Ginyu, as Captain Ginyu said, yeah, I can feel it, and this will be a good fight. I've been waiting to test this body out. Give me what you got. They both began the battle, but Captain Ginyu was still too strong. He was able to tap into further Mr. Satan's power. He was able to tap into 20%. That may not be much, but with that, he was easily stronger than Vegito, until Vegito turned Super Saiyan Blue. As then he looked at Captain Ginyu, and said, "You really think you can defeat our fusion?" Captain Ginyu said, "I don't know, but I can try." Dynamite kick! He punched Vegeta, causing him to bleed, and Vegeta punched him, and they both began the battle. As they battled, they sent shockwaves out, shaking the entire earth. Beerus looked down and saw the toad and said, "Whis, can you hold the toad?" "Yes, sir." Whis began to hold and take care of the toad as he looked up. Vegeta said, "Captain Ginyu, why are you doing this? Why? You left me in a toad's body for 20 years. You know what that's like, not to be able to fly, not to be able to use any powers. I thought my entire life was over, but now I'm in the strongest body in the universe. I will get my revenge, and I'll rebuild the Ginyu Force and rule the entire universe as Captain Ginyu." Vegeta said, "Really? You're still gonna do those poses?" As he did a cool pose, but then he said, "Yeah, the poses are awesome. Well, I guess I can't help it then. Let's fight." He nodded as they both charged at each other. One last time. As Vegeta Blue summoned a key sword and began to swing it with all of his might, Captain Ginyu grabbed it and broke it. But as he broke it, his hand shook and began to bleed as it was sliced up. Captain Ginyu said, "What? How can you even damage me at this point? I'm so powerful." Vegeta Blue laughs, says, "I'll admit you are powerful, but you're nothing compared to Mr. Satan when he's actually in that body. When he's in that body, he can compete with Lord Beerus, even when he's at his best. But you couldn't even make him transform." "He could transform? Enough of this. If I can't win, I'll just destroy you all, including me." Dynamite kick! As then he was going to kick into the planet. And Frieza began to laugh, watching from the sidelines. "Yes, yes!" But then Vegeta Blue stopped him, and they both began the battle again and again, wearing each other out. As they were wearing out, Frieza started to walk towards the planet, and he thought about blowing it up. Beerus said, "If you blow it up, I'll erase you. This planet is pretty fun, Frieza." Frieza looked annoyed. He said, Fine, Beerus, but I'll be back, and one day you'll have fun on it when it's in my empire," Frieza says as he flies off into space. Beerus looks up annoyed. Cocky bastard. Then he looks back, as Vegeta Blue then gets to be beat up more and more, pummeled, but so does Captain Ginyu. Both of them are equal, until they fight each other to a standstill. Both of them fall to the ground, exhausted. Beerus says, "Wow, you were able to keep up with Mr. Satan at 20% of his power. True, you couldn't beat him, only stalemate him. And you had to fuse and go blue, but that's still pretty impressive," he said, smiling, as he began to walk towards both of them. Suddenly, though, Captain Ginyu and Mr. Satan would switch bodies, as Bulma used the Dragon Balls as they were all fighting. Mr. Satan got up and picked up the toad. As the toad looked scared, Mr. Satan said, "We'll wish for you to get your old body before this one. But you better not cause any more trouble, okay?" The toad nodded, as then their next wish was for Captain Ginyu to get his old body back. As he looked at all of them, he said, "Well, I guess I should be going." Goku says, "Where are you gonna go now?" "I don't know, but somewhere new, I hope." Mr. Satan says, "Take care. Don't steal anyone's bodies." Captain Ginyu says, I'll try not to," as he laughs and goes on. We cut to Champa as Champa walks onto Beerus' world. Beerus looks at us and says, "What do you want?" "What do I want? All the gods heard about it. You were fighting some human. You could have destroyed my and your universe." That's how powerful he was. I want to truly witness this power, and I think I have someone even stronger. Beerus says, "No one's stronger than Mr. Satan, except for me." Champa begins to laugh. "That's where you're wrong, Lord Beerus, because I got someone even more powerful. We should have a tournament, and the winner gets the Super Dragon Balls." Beerus then smirks, saying, "Deal," as him and Champa began to laugh at each other. And then Champa showed him an egg of the 6th universe and was humiliated because Universe 7 has better food. And he got mad and left. So he told Goku and Vegeta to recruit Mr. Satan and the others. We cut to Mr. Satan. He was training just like normal. However, Goku and Vegeta would both fly down to him and explain the rules of a tournament. Mr. Satan would be intrigued. He remembered Whis mentioning something about another universe when they were both fighting that could destroy both universes, but he didn't think the news would be relevant this quickly. Mr. Satan nodded and agreed to join the tournament with Majin Buu. As Goku and Vegeta both went off with Mr. Satan, they also picked Piccolo, and they went off to the tournament. They all went off to the Universe 6 and 7 tournament. They all realized something. There was Saiyans in the 6th universe. Vegeta and Goku began to talk to Kaba, but Mr. Satan kept looking at Frost. He reminded him of Frieza. And, well, something about him just didn't sit right. It felt off. He just didn't really know what to say. However, Mr. Satan would quickly snap out of it once he realized that the tournament was about to begin. Mr. Satan was first, and he fought against Botamu. As Botamu began to laugh, looking at him, "This is who I'm against?" Mr. Satan walked up, and he said, "Begin!" Botamu pointed at his belly and said, "Hit me." Mr. Satan said, "Oh, so you absorb ki. I don't think you should do this. Even if you absorb energy, my attacks have so much energy you'll be knocked out of the ring instantly." Botamu then begins to laugh. "You really think I'll fall for that? That's just a bluff, so I drop out. You must be aware of my ability, so you must be aware you can't win. It's such a tragic event that all your potential has to go to waste." But then, Mr. Satan just punched him and knocked him out of the ring instantly. He said, "I told you, chump. The champ never lies, or never bluffs." Everyone looks there. Universe 6 is a bit shocked, but hits like, not that powerful. But Universe 7, is just expecting it. The next match is Mr. Satan versus Frost. As the battle began, Mr. Satan said, "You want to donate that money to charity, right?" Frost said, "Yeah." "Well, I'm rich myself. Since I'm going to beat you, I'll donate some money to charity." He goes, "That's so nice, my friend." And Mr. Satan was sensing something. He still had his guard up around him, so he decided to get him out as soon as possible. So he punched him as he flew right off the ring, but Frost was able to grab onto it with his tail and drag himself back up before he was eliminated. Then, Frost transformed straight into his final form, saying, "I know you're strong, Mr. Satan, but I'm stronger." Mr. Satan said, "We'll see about that, chump." As Frost punched him with all of his might, Mr. Satan easily blocked it and began to laugh. "Is that all you got?" Frost said, "No." As then he punched him again, and Mr. Satan began to kick him, as he almost fell off the ring again, barely clinging on, but suddenly Mr. Satan walked up to him and began to pass out. As he woke up, he was on the stands. Frost poisoned him. Everyone looked onwards, and Universe 7 was shocked that they beat Mr. Satan. The next match was Piccolo versus Frost. As they were fighting, eventually Mr. Satan would wake up and look around. As Beerus said, "I can't believe you lost. You let your guard down." "No, I didn't. He cheated. He cheated," he would scream. "The only way the champ would lose if someone cheated." Frost looked at him and said, Now, no need to play spoiled sport. I fought fair and square." "It's not true," he said, angry. Most people were thinking Mr. Satan was losing his mind, but Vegeta believed him. "Look, Mr. Satan wouldn't lie. If he cheated, he cheated." Beerus said, "I think you're going crazy." As they're all watching, but eventually Piccolo would pass out too, and Mr. Satan would say, "I saw him use a needle." The referee would check him out and prove that he used a needle, and that would get Mr. Satan back on the team. So Mr. Satan would yell, "Hey, let me fight Frost, Green Man." Piccolo would look up and say, "Are you sure about this?" "Yes, I need to beat him for my honor." The referee says, "But he's out. I don't care. Keep him in. I'm gonna beat him, even with those tricks they have." Piccolo agreed as he jumped off the stage, and suddenly Mr. Satan jumped down and got onto the stage. As suddenly, Frost looked at him. "Now that you know I'm cheating, you think you can beat me? All it took was a little trick to get you down, and you're supposed to be the greatest man ever. The greatest man of Universe 7, the man who took on Lord Beerus himself. And you know what you are? You're just a showman. You're just a man who likes to show off with all of his power. You don't actually think." Mr. Satan says, "Don't tell me who I am." As suddenly, he punched him off the ring right from the get-go, so fast and hard he didn't even get up. Mr. Satan said, "You know, I could have beat you down. I could have tortured you. I could have punished you. I could have got revenge. That's what you would have done, but I didn't, and that's what separates me from you. Revenge gets you nothing, petty tricks get you nothing, and cheating gets you nothing in life. Learn that, chump," Mr. Satan said as he spit on Frost. Frost got up annoyed and walked away. As suddenly the next match was Mr. Satan versus Kaba. Kaba then looked at Mr. Satan as Mr. Satan took a battle stance and began to smirk. Well, it's you, Kaba. Well, turn Super Saiyan." "Super what now?" Kaba said, really confused.
I said, turn Super Saiyan. It's the only way you can compete with me. Kaba said, I'm sorry, but I don't know what Super Saiyan is. Mr. Satan looked at Kaba, extremely annoyed as he sighed. Listen, boy, if you don't know what it is, then... Mr. Satan thought that he could teach him. He could brutalize him, torture him, to make him angry enough to become a Super Saiyan, but he couldn't do it. He looked at Vegeta and said, Vegeta, can you train him after this? Vegeta looked down and said, yeah, I can train him. Alright, good. After this, go to Universe 7, you'll get trained. Kaba says, thank you. Now let's start. Kaba then charged at Mr. Satan and began to punch him. But no matter what he did, Mr. Satan didn't move a budge, and then he blasted Ki Blast at him. Mr. Satan yawned and said, I never understood why people would do Ki Blasts. They're so artificial. Real power doesn't come from fancy Ki Blast, kid. Kaba would look up and say, what does it come from then? Mr. Satan would just laugh. This dynamite punch, as he punched him straight off the ring. Kaba was defeated, but he was excited to train under Vegeta. The next match was Mr. Satan versus Vegeta. Chugga, 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 Mr. Satan heard. As he looked, it was a giant robot, a metal man, who jumped down and was ready to fight. Mr. Satan goes, all right, metal against metal. Let's see if your metal can stand up to these guns, Mr. Satan said as he showed off his muscles. Vegeta looked down at him. He was a bit scared. After all, Mr. Satan was the guy who fought Lord Beerus and easily defeated everyone else in the tournament. Vegeta fought bravely and began to spit lava blast after lava blast. But Mr. Satan didn't even dodge it. He just stood there as it hit him right in the face and did nothing. He began to laugh. Thank you, I was getting a bit cold. You warmed me up. Champa would see this and begin to yell, how is this possible? How is someone so strong? He took lava to the face and just laughed? Champa yelled as Beerus laughed. Oh, is my little brother upset? Shut up! Champa would look down and say, hey, you better take him down, Vegeta. Take him down now. Vegeta nodded as he began to swing at Mr. Satan, punching him, shooting him with lava, with everything he had. Chugga, 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 he screamed, but it did nothing. As Mr. Satan looked up and said, your metal is no match for the power of pure muscle. As Mr. Satan kicked Vegeta, sending him off the ring.
After he was kicked off the ring, suddenly, it was time for him to fight Hit. Hit looked at him, excited. He usually doesn't get excited when he fights since he's so powerful, but seeing how powerful this man was, it motivated him to push himself further. As he walked up to him, he simply smirked. Are you ready? Mr. Satan nodded. As suddenly, he did a time skip, hitting him with all of his pressure points, but Mr. Satan didn't even budge. Hit looked shocked. How is that possible? I hit you in every pressure point. Mr. Satan said, doesn't matter where you hit me. If you're still too weak, you can't even push me. An ant can't push a mountain. This an angered Hit. As Hit pushed his time skip even further, but it did nothing. He time skipped again and again and again and again, but no matter what he did, he didn't even move a muscle.
He merely laughed and said, if you want to see true power, this is real power. And he turned superhuman. As suddenly, Hit shook in fear. As the power was so much, it knocked him right off the ring. And Mr. Satan was the victor. He took on every opponent and easily beat them, because he was the champion.
Suddenly, future Trunks would come. Everyone was shocked to see him again. As Mr. Satan was off, Goku walked up to him and asked, what is he doing here? And Trunks explained something. He explained that his timeline had an evil Mr. Satan. They call him Mr. Satan Black. Goku and Vegeta got Mr. Satan and had Trunks explain it to him too. Mr. Satan was shocked. Who is this Mr. Satan Black? Did he truly turn evil in the future? But then something happened. A portal opened up. As Mr. Satan Black walked out and began to look around. As he saw Mr. Satan walked up to him. He could feel the energy was different, but he just didn't know how. It felt so similar to him, but it also had its own unique energy source away from it. Mr. Satan then went straight to him and said, what are you doing, chump? So this is the famous Mr. Satan. Good, I get to meet you. This battle will fill me with information, he said, as Mr. Satan Black punched Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan punched him. Mr. Satan Black could only use 10% of Mr. Satan's power, but as they fought, his power was beginning to grow. exponentially, and then suddenly the portal sucked him back through. Everyone watched and was amazed, as Beerus looked at Whis and said, "That energy, it's similar to Zamasu, isn't it?" We said, "Yes, my lord, it is." "We should investigate that." So they decided to split up. Goku and Vegeta would investigate Zamasu's energy, while Mr. Satan would go back and fight Mr. Satan Black. Mr. Satan would look at Trunks and say, "Don't worry, I'll put this creep in his place. Nothing can beat the original," he said, smirking. Trunks nodded and said, "I hope you're right." Mr. Satan and Trunks would go into the time machine, and as they went out, Mr. Satan Black flew back down. "Ah, seems like you're back. It's been quite a while since our last match. It's only been a few hours," Mr. Satan would say, "and a few hours is all I needed to evolve." "Show me that awakened form," Mr. Satan Black would say. Mr. Satan would look at him and say, "What are you talking about? You're not strong enough to fight my awakened form, my superhuman form." "Oh yeah? I think I am," he would say as he would turn rosé. Mr. Satan would say, "Alright." He would then go to his superhuman form, and they both would begin to battle. As the battle started, both of them began to fight and push each other further and further. As they pushed each other, the entire universe shook, sending shockwaves, just like when he fought Lord Beerus, or Beavis if you're Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan Black said, "You're so powerful. Look at this power. Look at the power that we possess. It's such a shame it's in a mortal body. You pathetic, disgusting mortal." Mr. Satan said, "You said I'm powerful, and then I'm pathetic and disgusting. What's going on?" Mr. Satan Black would begin to laugh and say, "I think it's time I tell you my plan. Since you're the reason I took this body, I'll give you the reason."
As Mr. Satan Black would tell him about his project, Project Zero Mortal, so he took his body and killed his family, and then went to this universe to wipe out everything, to create a paradise, a utopia. Mr. Satan yelled, "How could you do that? What kind of a sick bastard wants to live in a universe with no one else but themselves?" "Oh, it will be beautiful. Nature will take back without you pathetic mortals." Meanwhile, we cut to Goku and Vegeta, who go to investigate Zamasu.
As we cut to Zamasu, he would be watching GodTube, and he would see this Mr. Satan fella, and he was amazing. He defeated Hit and everyone else in the entire tournament like it was nothing, easily pushing them out of the ring like they were just trash. Zamasu was fully amazed. How could this be possible? How could someone like this be so strong? He was just a mortal. How could a mortal attain such a level? He would ask Goku, "How did he get so strong?" "We don't know. He did push-ups, pull-ups, and many other things like that." "That's it? Just simple training?" "But that's unnatural. Not even gods could reach that level." Zamasu said, shaking, "Yeah, he's on par with Beerus himself." Zamasu would then get angry, thinking that no mortal should be this strong, and that this is an abomination. But suddenly, as he felt this way, Vegeta, Goku, and Beerus would appear on their planet. Zamasu would become a bit annoyed that Goku and Vegeta just showed up on his planet. But Goku and Vegeta both really wanted to fight him, so they played rock, paper, scissors for it. Zamasu was annoyed. Why would such mortals play rock, paper, scissors just to fight a god? A god! Someone so above them. And yet they played frivolous games to decide who fights him? Vegeta won, as he gloated, and he turned Super Saiyan, charging at Zamasu, and he just beat him up. Zamasu was humiliated, defeated by a mortal. He needed to wipe out these mortals. This must not stand. After that, Beerus and Goku began to talk, but Zamasu didn't care. There was only one thing that was in his mind: rage. Pure rage. All he could think about was finding a way to kill Goku, kill Vegeta, and most of all, kill Mr. Satan. The man that could rival a god that was just a mortal. This angered him beyond bounds. As Goku talked to Goku and Vegeta, eventually they left, but Zamasu got more and more angry, and he finally decided it was time to continue out his Zero Mortal plan. Meanwhile, we cut back to Future Trunks' timeline, but we don't cut to Mr. Satan versus Mr. Satan Black. What we cut to
is future Zeno. The entire timeline was shaken. Two Mr. Satans battling each other sent out shockwaves so powerful it shook every single universe in the future timeline. Zeno could feel this, and he could feel the great power coming from it, and he told the Grand Priest to bring him there because he needed to quickly get rid of this. All of it. They needed to destroy it, so Zeno and the Grand Priest began to move towards the Mr. Satans. As we cut to the Mr. Satans battling each other fiercely, suddenly a ki blast is felt behind Mr. Satan. He punches Zamasu, but then he heals, and he says, "What is this? I got immortality." And he points down to Trunks, who was wounded, laying down. He was pretty strong, but after punch after punch after punch, eventually I just wore him down. Ran out of stamina. Simple as that. He pointed down a ki blast about to kill him, but the Mr. Satan punched him back. And he quickly ran over to get future Trunks. However, as he ran to get him, he looked up, and he saw Zeno. He remembered him from the Universe 6 and 7 tournament. The two Mr. Satans were shocked. And Zeno says, "Bad guys fight, almost destroy everything." Zeno erased, but before he can erase it, the two Mr. Satans charged at Zeno, working together, not on purpose. When they saw Zeno try to erase him, a primal urge appeared in their mind. The urge to survive, the oldest urge in all of the universe. As they both charged and punched Zeno so fast the Grand Priest couldn't even react, Zeno was destroyed. The Grand Priest yelled, "What have you done?" as suddenly the entire universe began to shake. All of Future's Trunks timeline began to collapse. Without Zeno to maintain things, the universe was just straight up deteriorating. Mr. Satans were both shocked. As Mr. Satan grabbed future Trunks and began to run towards the time machine. So did Mr. Satan Black, but Mr. Satan punched Mr. Satan Black into the sky. As he flew back down to try to get in, he was too late, as Mr. Satan and Trunks went back to the present timeline, destroying it. Mr. Satan felt guilty as he got out. He didn't know what he would tell Trunks, but he decided he would have to lie. There's no way anyone could know. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta get back. Mr. Satan hid Trunks into the time machine. There was something there that could stop you from sensing power levels. But I want to put that there so you can go to the future timeline and present timeline undetected in case there was threats there. Mr. Satan went up to them and lied and said he took care of it and that everything is fine now. They all nodded and believed him pretty much well, and he told them about Zamasu, about it was him who took his body. And they were shocked. Goku was like, "He didn't seem like that bad of a guy." Vegeta said, "I could tell he hated our guts. Looks like we gotta take him out." Whis says, "Even so, we need to be careful. This is a Supreme Kai after all." Goku and Whis go out to check him out, and things play out like normal until future Trunks wakes up. Mr. Satan goes to the time machine and explains what happens and says, "You're gonna have to get out of here without them noticing." Future Trunks was angry at Mr. Satan for what he did at first, but he realized it wasn't his fault, so he hit his power level and went off.
So Future Trunk goes off to hide somewhere on the planet where he holds his power level to make sure that no one can find him.
We cut to Zeno. Zeno was remembering something. He forgot something, but it seemed important, but then he remembered. It's the tournament. A long time ago, he had an idea for a tournament with all the universes. And Mr. Satan can fight in it. But the Grand Priest said Mr. Satan's too strong. How about Universe 7 can only send Mr. Satan to make it fair? And it was like, yes, that'd be very interesting. So we cut to Beerus, who gets a call from the Grand Priest, telling him about the Tournament of Power and that you're only allowed to send Mr. Satan to compete. Beerus is shocked, so everyone else gets a full team, but we only get Mr. Satan. Grand Priest says, "I've seen his power, and he's more than enough. Honestly, your team has a great chance of winning with just him." Beerus sighs and says, "I guess you're right, but still." Beerus and Whis go off to find Mr. Satan. As Mr. Satan is training, he looks up, and he asks, "What are you all doing?" Beerus says, "I'm here to," but before he can even talk, Frieza lands down and begins to laugh. Beerus would say, "We need to go to a tournament. I should take," but Mr. Satan said, "No, this will be my warm-up." As he got ready to fight, Frieza turned black. "Behold my black form. Behold this form of true power, of true greatness. I found a time chamber and began to train there for 10 whole years. Now this is true power." Mr. Satan says, That's not true power. Let me show you what true power really is. As he says this, his hair slowly turns yellow and the entire planet shakes. Frieza walks back a bit scared, but then he gets ready. I'm not scared of you. Anyone who's friends with a monkey will call you a champion, but you're just a zookeeper. All you do is keep those filthy monkeys around you, and you really think you can defeat me, Lord Frieza, Emperor of the entire universe? Mr. Satan would simply just laugh and say, "You're funny. You know, Frieza, you keep up this trash talk, but really, I think you're scared to start the fight." "Oh, really?" That Frieza simply looked at him, death beam right at Mr. Satan's face. As Mr. Satan fell down, Frieza looked at him, thinking he was dead. But then Mr. Satan got up and grabbed him by the arm and pushed him down to the ground. As he laughed, "You really fell for that trick? Playing dead's the oldest trick in the book." Frieza got up and said, "I'm gonna kill you." Beerus says, "We don't have time for this. I'd love to toy with you, but sadly, we don't have time for this." Miss Satan said, "Dynamite, kick!" As he kicked Frieza straight into the sun. As he went into the sun, he felt his body begin to collapse as the star pushed him into a single atom and destroyed him, evaporating Frieza. Then, Beerus took Mr. Satan into the Tournament of Power. As he looked around, he began to smirk. "Is this everyone I'm gonna fight?" The Grand Priest said, "I'm glad you all could make it. This is the tournament." As he explained the rules, he got up and he said, "Oh, this is our special guest, Mr. Satan. He's so powerful that he wasn't allowed to have a team because it would be an automatic win for him. Even this is a little unfair, but we couldn't really
Cap Mr. Satan even more. I mean, where's the fun in that? Besides, you all will be fine, hopefully. Anyway, we should start this tournament up." All the other teams were shocked. How could Universe 7 only have one member? How strong truly was this guy? Belmont was a little scared because, he thought Jiren was the strongest, but it's not like he's forced to only have Jiren and no one else, so Mr. Satan must be even stronger. Other universes all had one thing in mind, testing Mr. Satan's might. Some were scared, others were excited, and some thought this was some sort of weird bluff by Universe 7. This can't be real. But who would be the first? Well, Universe 9 would go up against Mr. Satan, as a trio of danger surrounded Mr. Satan and began to fight him. Mr. Satan was backed further and further into a corner by all of them, but he did not budge. He was not scared. He fought against them. The trio of danger used their unique techniques, ki absorption, blinding, but none of it was a match for Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan simply knocked him off the edge by one. No matter how many people went up against him, they were no match. And Universe 9 was erased. Everyone was just shocked in amazement as Mr. Satan looked up. He felt a little guilt, but he had to do it. Universe 9 was going after him. If he didn't destroy them, his universe would have been wiped out. But as he was walking away, Cabba would walk up to him after training with Vegeta. "Hey," he said. As Mr. Satan looked at him, Cabba turned Super Saiyan 2. "I've been training under Vegeta just like you said. I have an idea for an alliance. Since you're all alone, we'll work together until there's only Universe 7 and Universe 6 left. Then we'll fight." Mr. Satan began to laugh and say, "Kid, I really appreciate that. I do. And I promise I'll wish you all back, but I don't need an alliance. I can easily take you all on." Cabba said, "Are you sure?" Kale and Cauliflower said, "You heard him. That means fight." They both walked up to him. Mr. Satan looked back and said, "Kids, I wouldn't do this if I were you. I'm going to give you one last chance. Back down now." They said no as they charged at him and turned Super Saiyan. They both began to battle him. As Mr. Satan began to beat up two of them, they would both turn Super Saiyan, and Cabba would turn Super Saiyan 2 and began to charge at him. As all three of them began to push him, it wasn't enough. Mr. Satan was simply too strong. No one could ever challenge a champ. But Champa had an idea. Maybe they couldn't challenge them all three, but what if two of them were combined? He yelled out to put on the earrings. As Kefla was born, Kefla began to look at Mr. Satan as she began to taunt him, and they both began to battle. Kefla flew ki blast after ki blast, and as they fought, she got stronger and stronger as she tapped into her power. However, Mr. Satan smirked and said, "You pushed me to 5%. Not a lot of people can do that." She said, 5%, you're bluffing. There's no way it's that low. Mr. Satan said, "You should be proud," as he hit the ring.
so hard that it destroyed the floor she was standing on, and she fell off of it. Then, he simply kicked Kaba out. Meanwhile, Hit was fighting Jiren, and Mr. Satan went over to watch to gauge his opponents. As he was watching, Toppo would walk up to him and begin to smirk. Well, Mr. Satan, you are the strongest in your universe. You even fought against a god. However, let's see how well you do against Justice, he said, as he posed and began to battle him. Mr. Satan smirked as he battled Top, but he was easily pushing him back. Toppo felt this as each punch put against his pride, and each punch made him question Justice. As he was almost knocked out of the ring, one of his teammates were able to use an electric net to pull him back up. Mr. Satan simply smirked and said, "Get stronger, alright, I'll enjoy fighting you," and began to walk off. Toppo looked at this, and he realized what he had to do. He realized what he had to give up to truly become powerful. As Mr. Satan was walking away, suddenly 2 Namekians would appear. It's time we get revenge for the 6th universe.
Namekians battled Mr. Satan as they screamed, "You may not be the strongest, but we'll fight you, and we'll push against you." Mr. Satan said, "Why are you doing this? All of our Namekian kind were fused into us. We represent everything, every bit of our species, every bit of our race is inside of us, and we represent the power that they hold and the power that will defeat you." As Mr. Satan said, "Listen, that's one hell of a speech, and if you were a hero, I would applaud you, but you're not. I'm gonna wish you all back, so don't worry." As all he did was him tapping into 10% of his power. As he tapped into the power, that 10% sent shockwaves, sending the 2 Namekians off the edge. As we cut further into the tournament, people challenged Mr. Satan, team after team, universe after universe, they all defeated, until it was time for the final battle. Top, Jiren, and Dispo all made it on Universe 11, and they were gonna fight Mr. Satan. As he looked, Jiren looked at him. "I didn't know there was any mortal stronger than me, but I still will defeat you," as he tapped into 100% of his power. Then Toppo went into his God of Destruction mode as Dispo was ready to run. "Are you ready to be defeated?" Mr. Satan simply smirked and said, "Be defeated? The only way this is gonna go with you 3 going off the ring." Toppo would pull out his hand and say, "Usually I'd hold back, but since you're so strong, I know this won't erase you." And he shot a massive Hakai. As this went toward Mr. Satan easily deflected it, but it distracted him as Dispo ran and grabbed him. And he said, "Now." Toppo charged with Jiren, gonna punch him off the edge, but at the last second he broke free and jumped away, making them punch Dispo off. Then Mr. Satan turned superhuman as he punched Toppo off the ring and looked at Jiren. "Just you and me, big guy, the toughest guys." Jiren looked at him and said, "How'd you get this strong?" "I did this all on my own." Jiren said, "Me too. We're not so different, are we? Our strength is what pushes us. Our strength in ourselves." Mr. Satan said, "You're wrong. The strength of others have also pushed me. Because of others, I unlocked this superhuman form. Because of others, I pushed further. And because of others, I got to fight Lord Beerus." Jiren simply said, "Shut up and fight me." As they battled the epic battle of the entire tournament, but it was clear Mr. Satan was going to win. Beerus smirked and said, "I knew no one could defeat him." As Mr. Satan knocked him off, Universe 11 was erased, and Mr. Satan made a wish to bring back all the universes. But the Grand Priest went down and said, "This was a test for you, Mr. Satan, to see if you were strong enough, had enough willpower, and if you were noble enough to bring them all back." The Omni King looked at him and said, "I'm bored of this job, so I want to step down. You want to do it?" Mr. Satan was shocked, but he agreed, as Mr. Satan became the new Omni King.